Welcome back to DFL. The calls are going to be stopping after the segment. So if you have anything burning to ask the Commissioner, he is not going to shy away from any of your questions tonight. I'm quickly going through some of the questions that were given before the program and even during the program. I really don't want you to think that we are avoiding any of the questions, but let's go straight to the phones and see which question we have to answer now. Welcome to Dolor Factor Live. Thank you for your call.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good night, sir. Good night, Mr. Commissioner.
Good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night, miss.
Good night.
Okay. I must say that you're doing a great job. Yeah, and keep it up. But one thing that troubles me is the special constables. Do you have something in place for them? You know, because to me, when you're a special constable, that's it for you. Form of promotion, because I find you're working very hard. You know, you're doing very well. So I think you should put something in place for them. Okay, I'll listen to you on the radio.
Well, special constables are, just for general information, are police officers who are appointed on contract. They have a maximum of 3 years. Normally we renew their contract after the contract period is over. I think the caller is right that in terms of advancement in the police department, there's no direct opportunity because you're a constable, special constable, you remain a special constable throughout. What we've put in place really to accommodate special constables really is to provide a policy for them to graduate into the police department so that they can become regular police officers. So if they are performing very well in their departments, in every recruitment period, we put 10% of the special constables to become regular police officers. So at least they can now become regular police officers and move through the system in terms of promotions and things like that.
Okay, let's go back to the calls. Hello, welcome to Dolor Factor Live. Thank you for calling.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night to your guest. Good night, Mr. Commissioner.
Good night, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Commissioner, I want to commend you for the patrols you have at night. I hope you are very consistent in continuing and not starting off and later on you forget about it. I want to ask you two questions, right? One of the questions I want to ask you is the camouflage that your police officers are wearing. Is this a uniform?
Yes, it is a uniform of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, really.
And if it is a uniform of the police force, why the officers wearing it, they are not marked in terms of a name and a number? I mean, I've been calling for this for a very long time. I'm so happy to have you on the phone. And nobody from the police force is coming to clarify whether at least these officers wearing the camouflage are not numbered, okay, is the right thing to do. For example, recently you had the gentleman from Bodiley making a statement on TV, and he was in camouflage, and the first thing you could have seen was his identity. My reason for saying this, you have lots of officers who work at nights, and I'll tell you something. Sometimes the conduct of these officers are way out, and it is no way that anybody can identify these officers, which makes it difficult for your complaints unit, because you have a complaint unit that is manned by individuals. If I come and report an officer, and at least I have no way of identifying that officer, your complaints unit have a problem. I mean, there was an incident where a report was made of 2 officers. The names came back, and one of the officers, the name was the wrong name, and that officer was dragged into the court. Now, if that officer had a number, it would have been very easy to identify. So I'm asking, why that you do not make sure that the officers wearing the camouflage is identified? That's one. The other question quickly. When reports are made at the police station, isn't there a paper trail in terms of a record of these reports? I have known reports are made at the police station. When people following up that report, you do not have the officer's name at the desk, and nobody seems to know nothing about these reports. I think this is something that you'll have to look into and make sure at least the supervisors at these stations do what they're supposed to do. I'm going to listen to you on the telephone.
Well, in terms of the issue of identification of police officers in uniform, I think you're right. That is something obviously that we have to do. I think that the challenge for us really is to come up with a mechanism to do it with the camouflage uniform, because it is actually, it's not a normal urban uniform. It's more used for jungle purposes. And so we need to, the metal that we are using at the moment to identify the numbering for regular police officers, we simply cannot use it with the camouflage uniform. But I agree with you that we need to come up with a system for members of the public to easily identify police officers. In terms of reports made at the police station, there is definitely a paper trail. In addition to our diaries, we now into the area of a crime management system, which is an electronic means of recording our crime. So anybody can go on the crime management system and be able to track any crime, even though in some cases it can even be, well, not in some cases, it can easily be done remotely. So it's not even necessarily somebody from the police station, but police officers generally can have access to the crime management system, and they are able to track cases.
Okay, thank you for that, Police Commissioner. We're going to go back to the phone lines, but before that, I just want to tell you that one of our sponsors, Lime, have said that they would be more than happy to discuss the issues of communications with you. So expect a call, all right? And I hope that you take the benefit of everything that Lime is offering.
Well, we've had a good relationship with Lime, really, anyway, and I envisage it will continue, really. So
good. All right. So I think you're going to be getting a call from them. They're going to try and see what they can do to help you to get the right solution there. Thank you very much for holding, caller. Have you a question for our Commissioner?
Yes, I do. One question. Good evening to all.
Good evening.
Good evening.
If we don't know the substance that was on the boat, how can we add value to it? Because they said the drugs were not identified. If it's not what we think it is, how do we know it's worth $2 million?
Yeah, well, you make this judgment on the basis of what you suspect it to be, but for you to say conclusively that it is what you are saying that it is, because normally we say that we suspect it's a white substance which we suspect to be cocaine, but in terms of making a firm determination that is actually cocaine, that is a subject of testing, which is another stage. So you start by having your suspicion, and then you can prove it through necessary testing.
Okay, another call. Hello, welcome to Dolor Factor Live.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, let me congratulate you for having the Commissioner on program tonight, and let me say good night to you both.
Thank you. Good night.
Let me extend the congratulations to the Commissioner and the Royal Central Police Force for hosting yet another Police Week, which is something that I believe should be continuous, should be consistent, and I believe that the Commissioner has been doing his utmost to get this going. So it's a very good thing. Commissioner, I want to say to you that I believe that half the story have been told, in the sense that a lot of the good deeds of the Royal Central Police Force have not gotten to the media. We've been overshadowed, the police force have been overshadowed by the misdeeds or the mistakes and so on that has been happening. And although it is a good thing to highlight the bad, but it is equally good to highlight the good. In this vein, I want to say that I believe that the Royal Central Police Force must invest very seriously in PR. And by that I mean not just reporting on incidents and so on as we see happening now. There's a lot of good that is going on within the ranks of the Royal Central Police Force. And it needs to be highlighted. The story must be told in a very, very, very positive way. And I think that will go a long way in boosting the confidence, which is something that the police force have been benefiting in increasing in confidence. The second thing I want to say, we had a caller, I think the one before the last one, and historically, I've listened to this caller, and I believe what I have been hearing from that caller, 95% of the caller's contributions seem to be focusing on, the police force and not speaking about the good things that are happening. Yes, it is important to identify the wrongs, to strengthen the processes and so on of the Royal Central Police Force. But it seems to be a passion of the caller. And in recent past, the caller has made statements that I believe have been erroneous, and I also believe that the caller is making statements that is calculated to create mischief. And I want to appeal to the caller, please, when it is wrong, say it is wrong. For example, not too long ago, the caller indicated that the complaints units of the police force, they are deliberately not investigating matters as it relates to him, which is wrong. The caller further made some erroneous statements and seemed to be targeting the police. I believe the manner in which he seeks to highlight the ills of the police force or the shortcomings of the police force is wrong, and he seems to be exaggerating what happens and what does not happen, simply to make a point, simply to be heard or to be placed in the spotlight.
Well, thank you. Can I just say thank you so much for your contribution. We actually do need to move on with that one. Do you have any brief comments on that?
Well, I think he made a few positive comments. The only thing is that I respect the right of everybody to make their comments, and the caller that he's referring to, I think he has his rights to make his comments also. But generally, I think he made some very excellent point as it relates to the positive stories emanating from the police department.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about the police week.
Well, our police week is down for the week of, next week, November 25th to December 2nd is the third straight year we have in police week, and it's really an opportunity for police officers, first of all, to interact with their colleagues, and secondly, for us to have a degree of interaction with members of the public. We have had some activities leading up to police week. I think we had a very memorable event on Sunday where we had a relay around St. Lucia, where we had a chance to thank members of the public for the support that they gave to police officers. We also distributed hampers in every policing district we went to. We distributed at least one hamper to a needy individual that was identified by the police station. They also, Soufre also handed over the keys to a house to a lady in Soufre that the house was renovated by the police officers in Soufre. So it's all really great work on the part of the police officers. I wish to commend them for that, and like the caller suggested, that we really need to be also putting out these good news stories on the part of the police officers.
And I want to ask you some more about the week so people can actually attend, but we just have a call she's been very, very patient. So thank you for your patience, and welcome to Dolor Factor Live. Have you ready with your question? Okay, maybe we've waited too long. Okay, let's go back to the police week then.
Yeah.
What's
some of the significant activities for the week, we have an exhibition at the Castries City Hall. I think it's on Monday and Tuesday. We also have a visit to sick and shut-in police officers. Again, we propose to bring former police officers, that is, we propose to bring a hamper or some stuff for them. Also highlighting the week, we have a Miss RSLPF and Allied Services show. We invite members of the public to go and come witness the talent of our beautiful police officers, and also Allied Services, Fire Service, and also other officers of the Port Authority also. And we have a regional Calypso show, which involves Calypsonians from other countries, and if people probably want to see me sing, they should also come to that show, you know. So who knows, I might show off my talent.
Wow, okay. I'm coming just for that one. I'm coming just for that. I'm sorry, callers. I know you're there, but just one final thing. I know there's going to be a very interesting discussion as well between yourself.
Yes. There will be a panel discussion involving myself and two former commissioners of police, and the topic really is the evolution of policing on St. Lucia from way back in the 70s when one of the former commissioners presided over the force to the present and looking at the future. And we are inviting people to come in to witness that activity, also to make their own comments as to how they see policing evolving through the years on St. Lucia.
And where does that take place?
That takes place at the police restaurant and bar. And it's, I'm not completely sure of the date, but it's one of the days of the week. The entire program for Police Week is actually on the police website, which is rslpf.com, and we encourage people to take part in the activities and to support the police. The week actually starts on Sunday with a church parade at Unsterage for 10 a.m. and also we have a family day at Unsterage. So we're asking members of the public to come to church with us and also to support the family day activities, not only for police officers, but we want to make it a public activity for members of the public to come and support.
Good. Okay. And if you want some more information, go to the website, and you can also contact the Law Factor Live. Now, thank you very much to our caller who's been waiting patiently again. So, hello, good night, and thank you for waiting. Do you have a question?
Right, Frank. How are you doing?
Hello.
Mr. Commissioner,
Yes,
I'd like to lay a point straight up and forward in your face. I don't mean to be disrespectful in any way, but truth of the matter is I realize that we've had quite a few criminal insurgencies on our premises. And with all due regards to the laws in the police force, it would be, I wouldn't say incumbent of me, but there have been certain circumstances where I find that your subordinates are taking care of everything, and that you seem to have no clue of what's happening below you. So it's on that basis that I decided to call Francis Henry. This lady, I think she's doing quite a beautiful job. And I ask myself time after time whether this lady should have superseded your position. Thank you.
Well, sir, I suppose you're entitled to your views, but I just want to let you know that I don't have subordinates. They're all my colleagues. We are all in this thing together, and I think I try my best to maintain a good relationship with every single police officer. But if your view is somebody else could have done the job, then I suppose that's your view, sir.
Okay, Commissioner, I have another question for you. Does the Commissioner believe that 6 months training is not significantly enough time to become a police constable? EMS also have 6 months training, whereas nurses have 3 years school and hands-on training, doctors have 7 years. Don't you believe police officers and EMS personnel should be given longer than 6 months?
I think the training period should be longer because obviously policing is a profession, but the fact of the matter is that the demands that are placed on police officers and the requirement for police, sometimes you don't have the amount of time that is needed for the training. We try our best to augment it with in-service training, and also the police officers having done the 6 months out of the training school, we assign them to they become field training officers. So their first 2 years out in the field, they are probationers, so they go through a training regime during that period also. But I would wish to see a longer period at the academy, but obviously that is something that will take a degree of discussion, because there are, I suppose, resource consequences associated with it.
Okay, thank you for that. Now we have to go straight to the break, and when we come back, of course, we're going to have our giveaways ready for you. So this is DFL on this is DFL on DBS. So stay with us. We'll be right back.